Hi, so this is part two of inversions and stuff, the triad, the major triad, C major triad. In the first video, I explained to you how to find those inversions. Now, a couple of things before we move on. In the previous video, I explained that the guitar is a matrix that has a vertical side and a horizontal side, like happening simultaneously. So it's like a roadmap that goes this way and that way. And the things that you find this way, you can find that way, which sounds confusing until you begin to see the nature of this instrument. This instrument has been around for some years, like at least 100, and I'm pretty sure even more. So we've had a lot of time as humans to figure out how to present the information, okay? There are different methods to discovering the information, but the information remains the same. There's 3 notes per string, there's the caged system, there's all sorts of systems that people have developed. There's new systems. I saw something on Instagram called the staircase or the chair or whatever. So humans are finding new ways to make this accessible to everyone, which I believe is great. And I'm trying to contribute to that. I'm trying to be part of the new generation of teachers that share information about music. This is truly why I believe I discovered music and why music found me and chose me. It's not because I don't really have any desire to become a touring famous musician that plays sold out shows. I do make music and I do intend on publishing it and performing it and sharing it with the world, but I feel like that's a separate entity. I feel like that's secondary. My first duty as a musician is to discover and to share. Whether I discover something in myself and share it as a song, or whether I discover something on the instrument and share it as a lesson, my contribution to the world is one of discovery and sharing, because my perspective is so unique. And it took me, and it's not even like a toot a flute arrogant thing, really. Everyone's perspective is unique. I'm just leaning into the way I see the world, and I've spent way too much time trying to change the way I see the world rather than letting it inform me and me changing the world through how I see it. Okay, again, I digress. So in the first video, we did second inversion, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position again. And this repeats indefinitely. If I had infinite frets this way and this way, it would go on forever. And that's kind of what the piano is. It's infinitely this way and infinitely that way. So root, second, first, root, second. Now, if we take this matrix we call the guitar fretboard, this way will give you the same results as this way. So if you do this, you can do this and vice versa. Let me prove that to you. We haven't gone into other string sets yet, and I'm about to go into that, but just to show you the benefit of understanding how to navigate the guitar, that it is both a vertical and a horizontal thing that coexist. You're either doing this or you're doing this. You know what I'm saying? Is this. Let me show you. So if this is my second inversion, right? And remember we said second inversion is the fifth of the chord being the lowest voice, which is G, then C, then E. And this gives me my second inversion. If I were to go up, it will give me root. If I could go down from here, it would give me first inversion. But because I can't go down vertically, let me go down horizontally. So if this is second inversion, it means the string set below it should start on first inversion. Lo and behold, first inversion shape. This shape is this shape an octave down. This shape is the first inversion, with the lowest note being the third, or the E. So it's E, G, C. Same here. E, G, C. Remember, we've established this is a C note. So if this is second inversion, this is first inversion. The string set below it should be root position then, right? If this rule is true. Lo and behold, root position. And if this is true, root position, the inversion below it should be second inversion, the inversion above it should be first inversion. So this is root. If we go below, that's second inversion. If we go to root again and we go above, that's first inversion. So this whole area of the neck has all the inversions that you could possibly rotate this way, going this way. Let me show you. If we're starting with second inversion here, into root, into first, into second, into root, right? Now let's start on second inversion here. Should go into root, should go into first, should go into second. All of that was a C chord. C chord, C chord, C chord, C chord. Same thing rings true here. This is our second inversion on this string set. So this is first inversion, this is second inversion. So if I go the string set below this, I should get first inversion, right? There it is. If I were to go the string set below this, I should get root position. There it is. So root, first, second, root. Remember, this root position comes from here, but it also comes from here. You can begin, and the rest you can go discover for yourself. But once you found a chord here, its next version isn't so far off. So here's first inversion, which means below should be root, right? Let's have a look. There's root. Below that should be second inversion. There's second inversion. Below that should be first inversion. There's first inversion. It's all the same. That's the point I was trying to make. Now that that has been established, I can show you the shapes for the next string set. So the first string set was string 1, 2, and 3, which is your E, B, and G strings. Remember that. E, B, G. Which, by the way, is an E minor chord. The guitar already gives you things. You just need to familiarize yourself with it, all right? So yeah, the first string set was 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1. There it is. So now we're gonna learn the next few chords in the next string set, which would be your 2, 3, 4 string set, right? 2, 3, 4. Remember, there's our root, there's our fifth, the open G string, and there's our third, the E. So we've got our first inversion C triad, which is beautiful because it's basically the first chord you learn, like the first campfire chord you learn is. That's what you learn. Most people know a C chord, but they don't know that the C chord that you play like this is two triads stacked on top of each other. It's a root position triad and a first inversion triad stacked on top of each other, and a second inversion triad stacked on top of itself. So it's root, third, root, first, second, all in one chord. And that's why it sounds so full when you play this, because you've got all the possible, it's like playing this. It's like playing that on the piano, like it's a full voice, right? So that's this. Half of that, just isolating the first inversion in that shape. Remember, that's root, that's first inversion. So isolating that first inversion in this string set, these three strings over here, you can see them moving. These three strings moving. That is your, that's the string set we're on now, string set number 2, we'll refer to it as. So that's your first inversion triad, which means the next coming triad should be what? Second inversion. You're absolutely correct. And that looks a lot like an A chord, doesn't it? Look. Right? It looks a lot like an A chord. For a reason. This is part of how the caged system is explained, is that for every open chord, there's a fretted counterpart, which for a while I used that system of thinking, but then I realized that it caged me in. Excuse the pun. Not that it's inferior, not that it doesn't work. It works perfectly fine, but if that's the only method you use to deduce the information on the guitar, you're very limited. You should be using as many methods and systems as you possibly can to gain a clearer understanding of this instrument, okay? So this is our first inversion. This is our second inversion. This is our root position. Now, this is what we've been building up to. It only took me 10 minutes to get here, but this is what we've been building up to. Remember in the first video, I said if this is my root position, I should have a second inversion below it and a first inversion above it. So this would be the second inversion below it. This would be the first inversion above it. This would be my root. Same over here. If this is my root, you see how we like pretty much in the middle of the entire guitar, which means that there should be second inversion this way and first inversion this way. Let's have a look. So if this is my root, and also this looks like an F. There's a song. Music begins to show up automatically once you understand the parameters and the rules that you've been given to work with. Okay, so there's your root position. So below it should be second inversion, and there's the second inversion. Below that should be first inversion. That should be, there it is. So first inversion, second inversion, root position, right? So which means if this is root, above it should be first inversion. Notice that this is this, an octave up. The same way this is this, an octave up. That is music. That is the guitar. The rules are music, yes, but that is the nature of the guitar. So let's revisit the two string sets. And then we'll make another video for the remaining string sets, and we'll all be happy and practicing. Okay, so the first string set, 1, 2, and 3. Second inversion, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position again. Okay? Let's use the next string set. Second inversion. This is second inversion. This was first. My apologies. My brain's a bit tired. First inversion. Second inversion. Root position. First inversion. Second inversion. And then I don't play chords up here. It's a bit impractical. But there it is. Root position. All the way up there. So then it means that this is this, and that this is this, and that this is this. See how this, it frees you up. It frees you up to be able to move up and down. And that's the purpose of familiarizing yourself with these triads, is to not be stuck in one position. It's crazy that once you learn to play like this, you have to learn to play like this. And once you learn to play like this, you should learn to play like this, because it's all the same thing. It's like the A minor pentatonic. This thing. Most people learn it as a box, but you should be learning it up and down as well, which I'll make a lesson on that as well. But yeah, this one's pretty short and concise. I think the video after this will just be me talking a bit more about myself. I don't know if I'll have a guitar on me or not. I'll probably have one on me because it feels like I can talk more with a guitar in my hands than without one. But this is just quick. So what you need to practice if you're watching this and you want to play guitar is the inversions on these two string sets. I'll give you a little exercise that I'll come up with right now. So here, this would be second inversion into root position, into first inversion, into root position, second inversion, into root position. So root, second, first, root, second. Once I've landed here, I skip string sets, do the same thing. And then, if you want to beat me to it, because I'm going to make a video about it, but if you want to beat me to it, figure out these ones. Figure out the rest. And then also figure out and the rest. Once you know your triads and all these string sets, there's a few more string sets to cover, because we've been speaking about adjacent strings right next to each other. There are inversions that are on non-adjacent strings, where you start on this string and you skip a string and then you use the other strings. That is a bit more complex. Don't even think about that right now. I don't know why I told you that, because now you might think about it. But just get these adjacent string sets going. Get them going. Let it be in your memory that you can just pull them out and like become comfortable with moving around like this. Because then the music will come out naturally. You'll start having things that you want to say. And that is music. Music isn't really, let's philosophize for a bit. Music isn't necessarily what you're playing. It's why you're playing it. Whether you know why you're playing it or not, whether it's your subconscious using your conscious mind to express, whether or not, we can get into all of that. But the point of music isn't how fast you play, how slow you play, how loud you play, how soft you play. It's a combination of all of that, and how much that is a reflection of a statement that you're truly trying to put out into the world. And I'm not even talking human language like what I'm using now, speaking English. Music is a language. People call it the universal language. I don't really think it's universal, because there's different styles of music that treat things differently. There are styles of music where there's a scale with a major third and a minor third, and whatever the half of that is. Like you get like a sus4, sus2. Imagine getting a sus3. Like there's like in between the major and the minor, there's a sus. There's music that does that. So it's not necessarily that the sounds are universal or the language is universal, but it's a language of emotion, and that's what makes it universal. I could have a piece of music that doesn't have any lyrics, make you feel what I want you to feel, like on a telepathic level. It's crazy. It's like music is a vehicle for telepathy. I'm going to say that again. Music is a vehicle for telepathy. Music is proof that telepathy exists, because we're using a thing that's just sounds, just vibrational, and no shaped sounds like with your tongue, vowels and consonants. We're not using it. We're just using a cycle, like a vibration. See that? That's not wrong. It's just a strange sound. That sounds a bit more relieved. That sounds mysterious. That sounds optimistic. There's no wrong sound. There's only the sounds that are intentional and unintentional. And unintentional sounds will always sound weaker. If I played something, okay, not always. Always, I really need to stop using the words like always and never, because what do I know? But generally speaking, when you say a statement, when you make a statement on your instrument that was unintended, it usually comes across as non-confident, and that's what makes it sound like a mistake. A seasoned musician, a skilled musician, can use those same notes in a confident manner, and that's what separates the ones that know from the ones that are still figuring out. But I would be the one that's still figuring out, even if I had to know, just saying. Because the more you know, the less you'll know. But the less you know, the more you can know. So yeah, there's no wrong note. There is no right chord, wrong chord. There are chords that you're aware of and chords that you're unaware of. And your job in practice is to become familiar with what you're unaware of, so that it becomes familiar to you. Because you never know when it will show up. You never know when that sound will show up. You never know if someone might present that sound to you and ask you to contribute to that sound in a musical setting. And I know this is very abstract or whatever, but you make music, you play music, you understand the world of abstract. So I can speak these things. But yeah, there's strong statements and weak statements. Sometimes an unintended sound can be perceived as a strong statement if you welcome it. For instance, like if you make a mistake and you're surprised by it and you lean into it, it comes across as a strong statement. That's, I believe, what Bob Ross would call a happy accident in a painting. It's exactly the same thing. Remember, everything is everything. Sound is light, and light is color, and color is energy, and energy is life and heat, and everything is everything. Everything is made up of waves and vibration. Everything is, even when I knock, this thing is responding. The reason why these objects can respond is because they are filled with sound, and when I give sound in, it has to give sound out. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transferred. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. These are the laws of science that govern the world that we live in, and they ring true. Again, and this is why I said I'm going to make another video, maybe not talking about music, maybe talking more about myself and why I think the way I think, how I ended up thinking the way I think, if you're interested in knowing that. But yeah, for you that are practicing guitar later on, remember, just these 2 string sets. Just go through them, become familiar with them, up and down. If you want to give yourself a little challenge, go up the cycle, go up and around the circle of fourths with only these 2 string sets. And I'll also reveal some secrets on the circle of fourths at some point. But yeah, I think that's where I'll keep it at. Thank you so much for watching. If you are watching, I don't even know if I'm gonna upload any of these like publicly. But anyway, I'm just gonna do this thing and not overthink it. I've spent way too much of my life overthinking who and what I am.